Greetings! In this video, we're going to talk about headings. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so HTML, you have several different types of headings. They're labeled from H1 to H6, and each heading, H1 being the biggest, H6 being the smallest, so each heading has its own size. Let's go ahead and work up an example here real quick. So I'm just going to go ahead and build out a quick web page, and nothing too fancy here. We're just going to go ahead and let's do this. Learn how to type a little bit. There we go. Alright. So I've created a basic web page with what's probably the most minimal amount of elements here. I set up my doc type to be HTML because we want to make sure that this renders as HTML5. I have an opening HTML tag, open body tag, a few empty spaces here, or empty lines for us to put our content in, and then finally closing body and closing HTML tag. So let's go ahead and type in our first type of heading. And I'm going to say H1, so an open H1 tag, and then I'm just going to type in a little sentence that says, or a little heading that says, this is an H or a H1 sized heading. And don't forget to close out your heading. And I'm going to go ahead and save this file into my web page development folder. I'm going to make a new folder called headings. And I'm going to go ahead and call this file headings.html. Don't forget to click Save as Type. Hypertext markup language file. That way that your file is saved in the right format. And I'm just going to call this headings. Alright. So I've got my H1 size heading, and I'm going to go ahead and run this. And here's a little shortcut. If you ever create an HTML file and you want to run it directly from Notepad+, instead of clicking on Chrome and then going and finding the file or using Windows Explorer, you can just run Chrome with this web page right from here. After you've saved it, you can click Run and then launch in Chrome. And there it is. So that's an H1 sized heading. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and do H2 through H6 and just show you the different sizes. Now, one of the things that you can do when you're coding, if you want to make your life a little easier, not have to type in as much, is you can actually do what's called copying and pasting your code. So, all you have to do is take your cursor and select, just like you do in Word or any other type of word processing software, text editing software, is copy or select the highlight the code you want to copy, and then right click and click copy. You hit enter for a new line, and then you can right click and hit paste. Now, another thing that you can do, and this is what I personally do because I'm used to key sequences, is you can also type in, you can select your code that you want to copy, hit Control, and then while you have your Control button pushed down, hit C, and Control C is copy, and then if you want to paste, you would just hit Control, keep that, keep holding it down, and then hit X, or I'm sorry, V, and that'll paste. Control X cuts. So anyways, I have my headings here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete 1, so the number 1 where it says this is an H1 size heading, and then the open and closing H1 tags. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy that line of code that I just modified down to the next line, and then I'm going to hit Control V 5 times. So what I have basically are a bunch of different lines of code here. I have 5 extra lines of code. They're all the same, and all I have to do is change that H open heading tag from H to H2, H3, H4, 5, and 6, and then just kind of repeat the process in the closing tag. And then repeat the process again for my description here. Oops, that was dumb. Alright, there we go. So those are the 6 different sizes of headings. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my web page and hit refresh, and you'll see that these are the differences in size for H1 through H6. Now, there is another type of heading that you can use, and this is called a horizontal rule, or HR, or horizontal line. And all this does is it creates a line that goes across the screen. So let's go ahead and type in an H3 size heading here, and I'm just going to type in something like this. Like today's menu or something. I'm just making things up. And I want to separate that heading from the menu underneath, whatever today's menu is. Okay, so this is what's called a self-closing tag. To do a horizontal line, the tag is HR, okay, or horizontal rule, space, and then a /. And what that does is that's called a self-closing tag. And all this element does, HR element, is it just creates a line that goes across the screen. And what that's used for is just breaking up a heading from, or page sections, all kinds of different things. But typically it's used to kind of separate content areas from one another. So I'm going to go ahead and underneath that horizontal line, I'm going to go ahead and type in a quick paragraph that says something like, we're having oyster soup with crackers. That actually sounds gross, but anyways, first thing that came to my mind. And what we'll see here when I render this is, after all these other headings here, you have an H3 size heading. That's the one that's right in the middle. It's probably one of the most common heading sizes. A horizontal line that goes across the screen, and then finally just a sentence, paragraph. Alright, so here's what you'll see. This is HR. This is a horizontal line that goes across. Again, see how it breaks up the page sections here. Alright. The last thing that I want to show you real quick is called an HTML comment. And you're going to put a lot of these in your code, and you're going to see, as I give you guys some templates to work from later on in the course, answers to assignments and things like that, answers to bug hunts that I'll show you after you've turned in your assignments and I hand them back. I'll actually place comments in your code, and this is how you do a comment. You type in less than, and a exclamation point, dash dash, space, whatever your comment is. I'll say this is a comment. And then to finish your comment, it's basically close out the comment tag, and that's a dash dash greater than. Okay. So for example, if I wanted to put a comment in saying that I added a H3 sized heading about cars of the week, TJ, put my initials in there and the date or something. Okay. And then after that, I can throw my H3 size heading that says these cars of the week. Okay, So you put your comment in either above your code, next to your code, doesn't matter. You just have to make sure that you've properly started your comment, and then when you're done, make sure that you close it out. Otherwise, everything after the start tag for your comment until it's closed out is treated as a comment and won't render. That's a common problem, especially when you first start coding. Now, here are some of the things that, in closing, that you have to be careful with headings and things of that nature. Headings are supposed to be section headings. In other words, they're used to determine for layout, or used to introduce a paragraph underneath them. They're really used to be a heading, to be a heading of information. Now, one of the things to be careful about with headings is that you don't want to substitute like larger, smaller, or bold text with headings. Headings are specifically for being the headers of information. You don't want them actually in paragraphs or in, like in the sentences. They're used to modify the way that text looks. The other thing that you want to make sure that you do is, another reason why you only want headings to be used as headings is because web search engines use headings to figure out what is being displayed on a page, what the topic is, that kind of stuff. So again, you just want to use them kind of how we've outlined in the course, and that is to be the heading for information presented underneath it. Just like you would do in a paper that you're writing for a class or whatever, where you might put the topic of the paper, and then underneath that you would have all of the content. It's the same way here. So that'll close out this video. In the next video, we are going to be talking about paragraphs. So we'll see you on that vid. Thanks.